Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the new horror movie slash video game adaptation for Until Dawn. Now, I actually really enjoy the video game. Now keep in mind I have not played it in a number of years, but there's going to be certain little Easter eggs that people who love and cherish the game, has played it nonstop, will pick up on way more than I did. I caught a few in this movie, but not a ton, because I'll be honest, I don't know if there really was a lot. I know there was some, but again, I'm sure people who really love the game could easily tell me more. Now, for anybody that's never played the game before, the game is a very choice-based game. It's essentially about the game part is essentially about these group of friends who come together to go up to the ski lodge, who are there for the anniversary of their friend's disappearance. And along the way, a bunch of different stuff happens, and throughout the game you make choices as different characters. So one of the characters that you either decide to move a spoon or not move a spoon, that'll come back into play later, or the fact that you said yes to a no that somebody wanted a no to 3 hours down the line, that could come back in some way, shape, or form. So it's a very choice based game, and you get so many different outcomes from that. And they've gone on to do a slew of other games from this developer, Dark Pictures, who I've yet to play a lot of them. I've played Until Dawn. I've played half of the one where you're on the ship, and I bought the Little Hope, and that's all I've done so far. And I know I'm way behind on that, but they're all in that style, and I think it's a very cool game because you have all these different scenarios and all these different endings that you can get out of the game, which makes it way more replayable. And I know when this movie was announced, a lot of people were like, well, how are they going to make that into a movie form? How are they going to have all these different things that come after you in the game be prevalent to the story and stuff like that? And I thought it was really cool how they did it, because they turned it almost into like this time loop movie. And because they did it that way, you're able to incorporate certain different things. You're able to incorporate like the Wendigo, or the masked serial killer, the witch, and stuff like that. You're able to put all that in a way that makes sense, where it doesn't feel like you're like panicking and like, oh shit, I don't know how to throw all this stuff in to have this fan service for these people, so let's just hodgepodge it all together. Thankfully, I was a fan of how they decided to do this. I know a lot of people weren't, but I was like, okay, cool, we're going the time loop route. So I was like, I'm cool with that, because I really enjoy those style of movies. I do really like this director, David F. Sandberg. He's done Lights Out and the Annabelle Creation movie, which both movies I really like. He did both the Shazam movies, which I'm not too fond of the second one. I do think the first one's pretty good, but I'm not a fan of the second one. And I'm so happy that he has stepped back in the world of horror. I think that genre suits him so well. And I'm not saying the man can't go do other things and try other things, but I don't know, something, he's just so good at the horror genre that I like to see what else he can do with it. And I know he even stated that he'll never do another superhero movie again. So I support this dude. I think he's a great filmmaker, and I always want to see more from him. With that being said, I think this movie, like the way it's directed, the way the visual parts of it is very good. I think there's some like trippy stuff of it that's part of the time loop stuff, and this different, stuff going on where you try to question, you're like, is this reality? Have I lived this before? And things like that. And I think all that comes together really well with the way that it's shot and directed. So I give props to that, because it's a very, really, really good-looking, beautiful film. And this story is kind of similar to the game, to where you have your main protagonist who is trying to retrace the steps of her sister. Her sister has disappeared, and her friends are going on this trip, trying to go to all the locations she did to try to figure out where she's at and where she disappeared. And along the way, they run into this guy who, tells them, just up the road, that's where people get into trouble, and that's where it leads them to this almost like Airbnb style house where these people have stayed. And along the way, they realize that's where the loop starts to happen, and they realize each night that they die, the night repeats itself, but it's something different. So one night you'll have the killer, the next night you'll have the Wendigo, then you'll have the witch or whatever. Each night is completely different. So you have to survive until dawn to make it out of this loop. And it is cool because the guy at the gas station that they run into is actually Peter Stormer, who is actually in the game. So it is cool that they brought that one element over to the movie, which I thought was really neat. I don't really want to say anything else because I don't want to give anything else away about his character, but it is cool that he is in the movie. Now, with all that being said, I don't know, I found myself throughout this movie really struggling to get into it. Like, I don't know if it was the mood I was in that day or what it was, but it was really hard for me to I was trying my damnedest to get into it. And I don't know, I couldn't do it. It's a very good possibility that it could have been because I've seen the trailer 500 million times, and I was kind of like, yeah, okay. And then another part of me was, do you ever have those feelings when you wake up and you're like, yeah, I'm into this today. I want to check this out. And then like and then you never do. And then the following day you're like, yeah, I don't really feel that anymore. That's kind of how I felt when I watched this movie. I went to go see it because I wanted to review it, but I didn't really have it in me to want to watch it. I was just not in the mood to watch it. So I was kind of like, yeah, so that could have been a big part of it. Come down the road, I could throw this movie back on and be like, you know what, I was really wrong about that. I really enjoyed that. But I don't know. I found myself just not interested in it. And as it ended, I found myself in this state of mind where I was like, I don't know if I have any interest to watch that movie again. Which is rare for me because I love rewatching films because you get so much more out of them the second time, and that's a big thing for me. If I walk out of a movie and I'm like, I just don't know if I have it in me to want to watch that again. That's something for me. So I don't know. Like I said, it could have been the mindset I was in, but I found myself where you don't really care about these characters. Like you're kind of forced into this situation with them, and there's very little backstory on them. You just know that the main character is looking for his sister, and yeah, there's a kind of a backstory there that they've hinted on between her and her sister and how stuff has happened in their life, and things have one has walked out on the other because of it, and they show there's talkings of that throughout the movie, and they show like these flashbacks here and there of it, but it's never really fully like delved into. Like you don't really know a lot about it. And as for her friends, like they're essentially they're there for just to be killed. That's all it is. They're just there for the slaughter. And normally with movies like this, that's kind of what you're there for anyway. But I don't know, for whatever this reason, this movie, I was just kind of like, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm along for it, I guess, but I just don't care. Like I do not care at all. And even the way some of them are, like, when they're killed by different things throughout some of the night, some of it is really well done. And one in particular really caught me off guard. There's a scene where they're all in a bathroom together trying to wait it out, and what happens in that scene, I was like, holy shit. So that one caught me off guard. There is some blood and gore for the Carnage Candy fans out there, but I just wish there was more of this story to chew on. I feel like we didn't get enough. I feel like it's a very surface level, bare bones story, and I wish that they would have taken more elements from the game and kind of incorporated that in here, which they kind of, without giving anything away, they kind of pulled an Uncharted situation where, if you've seen the Uncharted movie, they took things from different games. They took scenes from different games, and then the ending of the movie for Uncharted, it set up like stuff from the very first game, and you're like, well, now are they just going to go back and do a movie based on the first game now? Why didn't you do that to begin with? And it's the same with this movie. It sets up stuff where at the end of it, you're kind of like, well, are they going to set it up for this now? And if they are, why didn't you just, again, do that in the first place? So I don't know. It's one of those weird situations that I don't get. I'm like, I don't understand what it is about video game adaptations where they won't adapt certain things to the story. I get it. As a filmmaker, you want to do some stuff, change some stuff around, bring some more surprises for the people that's played the games. Totally understand that. But when you have like these movies or these video games that are essentially these epic movies, like Uncharted, for example, you have this 4 action-packed Indiana Jones style games that you could easily make 4 cinematic movies out of. and you could like make these big summer blockbusters out of them. And they don't do that. They just take elements. And I know the biggest one is Resident Evil. They have yet to get a Resident Evil adaptation right. I know the one that came out a few years ago was kind of all fan service and kind of towards that. But I don't know. I don't understand why it's so hard. The Last of Us, season 1 of The Last of Us so far, has been the best adaptation, in my opinion, because they followed it. They added stuff that wasn't in the game. They changed some stuff around, but they did it in a way to where it added more depth to a character that we didn't see much of in the game, and things like that. I'm all for that because that brings your own flavor to it and gives us more to a character that we maybe saw in passing or only knew through notes or a side quest or something in a game. Just taking certain things like and just being like, yeah, we'll take that. That's a cool scene. That's a cool element. We'll put that here and put that here. People will be happy. I think people are over that. People are way over that. So it felt the same way with Until Dawn. Like I said, there's some Easter eggs in here of the game, but I didn't see a lot. Like I said, it's been, God, probably the game came out in 2015. I don't know, probably 7 years since I've played the game. And I have a friend who's played it over and over and over again because he's tried to get all the different endings and stuff like that. I don't game as much as I used to. I wish I could. I wish I had the time. But I know people that are diehard fans of the game will probably pick up on certain things and be like, oh, that's from the game. That's cool. That's from there. And I didn't get a lot of that. I saw maybe one, two tops that I picked up on. I was like, oh, okay, that's from the game. And especially with the way it ended, the last shot, I was like, okay, that's from the game, but why didn't they do that instead of what we got? But I don't know. I don't know the whole backstory of it. I do have to say I thought some of the scares were pretty good, and some of the build up for scares were pretty good. But overall, I didn't feel any tension throughout the movie. I felt it was just very lackluster that, and I'll be honest, there's some parts where I was just pretty much bored. And I don't like talking bad about a movie because I know of like the work and stuff that's went into making movies, and it takes a miracle to even get a film made. But I'm just being honest, because if I feel like I'm not being honest, what's the point of me doing this? So I don't know. Some people might enjoy it more than me. I've seen very mixed things on it. I know a lot of people weren't that high on it, and me, I went into it with an open mind. I was like, because I was one of the ones that was really there for the concept of, oh, that's so awesome that they're making this into a time loop movie. And I was like, that's pretty cool because the stuff you're able to do with that. So I looked at it as, oh, this is going to be, it's going to be pretty cool. So I walked into it with an open mind, but by the time I left, I was kind of like, I just don't have the desire to watch that movie again. To be honest, there was one scene in particular that I thought was probably the best thing of the movie, like that I really enjoyed, was where they were trying to figure out how long they've been stuck in this time loop, and one of the characters pulls out his phone and he's looking through the videos, like he took different videos of each night and the stuff that's been after him and how they died and things like that. And they did that when they showed it, like they showed these different videos, and it almost went into like this found footage mode. And I honestly thought when it went into that, the movie, like that little segment, was so much scarier. Like, I don't know why. I'm a big fan of found footage movies. I know that's not popular because a lot of people cannot stand them, but I am a very, very big fan of found footage movies. And I don't know, something about that element really worked for me. And I don't know, when that came to be, I was like really pulled in for a second. I was like, whoa. I was like, invested in this stuff because the way it was cut and the way that it was put together, I don't know, it just made it more scarier and more creepy for me, where I was way more on board, where I was like, I dig this. And then it goes right back to the movie, and you're just like, oh, now it's like, okay. So, yeah, to me, that was the best part of the movie. Maybe if they would have done it in this found footage style, maybe it could have been different for me. But then again, I know a lot of gamers would have been mad because you're like, how the hell are you going to do a video game adaptation in a found footage style? That's just me, though. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things for me where I thought the little bit of found footage element that we got in this worked better for me. I will be curious to see if they try to do a follow-up to this movie. I don't know how much money this movie made. Like I said, I don't think it did too well, but I'll be curious to see if they try to do an actual adaptation for the next game where they're like, okay, now we're going to do the game where it's at the ski lodge with the friends. Now I'm curious if they're going to do that. I don't know because, like I said, I don't know how the success of this movie was. I would be curious if they would try to do it with other movies or with other games like the what was it, Man of Medan or Medan, however you say it, that one where you're on the ship, or the Little Hope, or the Devil in Me, I think is what it was called. I don't even know how many there are now. I just know that there's quite a few of them. I would still like to play them because I am a fan of the game series, and I do like how they do have this connective tissue with each other all throughout. I would be curious if they are going to try to adapt other movies for that, but I don't know because it'd be kind of curious because it's like the first one they did their own thing, and so if they did a sequel and called it Until Dawn 2, you're like, well, that's, and they went the game route, you're like, well, now we're just in the first game. Why didn't you do this to begin with? So it's I don't know. It's okay. I don't know if I would watch it again. I wouldn't rush out to the theater to see it. This is one I would definitely watch at home, probably maybe like on a rainy day where I'm stuck inside with nothing to do. Or if you had some friends over, you guys could watch it together, and maybe you guys can get more out of it together by discussing it or shit roasting it throughout the movie or whatever, or just having that fun commentary throughout the movie. I don't know, but it's definitely one that I would wait until it was on VOD or streaming somewhere to before I watched it. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't run out to see it in the theater. Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. That's my review for Until Dawn. If you guys like what I'm doing over here, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you guys have seen Until Dawn, and if you've liked it or hated it, please comment below and let me know what you thought about it. Let's talk about it. And please come over and check out some of my other 2025 reviews. I got a pretty good amount of them building up over here. And thank you so much for everybody that's been checking out my videos and my content and stuff, and that's subscribed and all that good stuff. I appreciate it way more than you know, and it means so much to me. So thank you guys so much. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much.